So you say, so some say, Bruce Lee was not a fighter. He was not a real fighter. Says who? Who's making that statement and by what measuring stick? That's the thing. What barometer are you using to measure Bruce Lee's skill as a fighter, as a real fighter? And what is a fighter? You know what? The people that I've seen thus far that claim that Bruce Lee was not a fighter, he was not a professional fighter, they are comparing him to them and people that they know and know of. And guess what? Those people are sport fighters, sport karate fighters, sport mixed martial arts fighters. Bruce Lee did not perform in tournaments, as we know. For that very reason, he trained to fight for real. This story will go on perhaps forever. The efficacy of Bruce Lee's ability. Was he good at fighting or not? But my question to those who say that Bruce Lee was overrated, my question to those who say that Bruce Lee was not a fighter, I say he's a fighter or was a fighter because of what he trained to do every single day of his life, because of his collection of information, videos, books, literature, on what? Of all things? Fighting. He trained in what? Fighting, not sport. But a lot of these guys are out here, I'm not saying that they're not fighters in the true sense of being a fighter if they had to protect themselves. But you are comparing apples to oranges. You want Bruce Lee to have entered into championships where he will win a trophy, where there were judges, referees, and a time limit. Is that real fighting? No. And you know it's not. Sport fighting has its place, but it's not combat. It's not combat. None of us have ever been in combat and survived. None of us. That's what we try to avoid, combat. But we should train for combat just like the military does. The Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, you train for combat. But if you never engage, are you a fighter? Just simply because you trained in it? You know, when you go to boot camp or basic training in the military, initially you was never in combat. Initially you were never in a fight. There are many U.S. soldiers and soldiers all over the world for that matter that have never been in a fight, but they are combat trained, such as I. Combat trained. Does it make them not capable? Does it make them not able to hold their own with the proper tools, proper training? So let's flip that over to physically fighting someone, hand to hand, mano a mano. What if I had the physical training to fight and haven't had a fight yet? Does that make me less of a fighter or not a fighter? Once again, are we not taught as young students in the martial arts to avoid fights? If that be true, then why are we running around talking about whether or not we are qualified as a fighter just because you didn't win a championship? Everybody doesn't participate in sport. Are they not fighters because they don't participate in that? Oh, you have to have won a belt. You have to have been recognized by this organization or this group. I mean, didn't all of the founders of martial arts, systems and styles, not have a fight at first? Many of them have not ever had fights. But that's how a lot of arts began, training in the art of fighting. And it became an art of fighting through the test of time. So, I'm beating a dead horse maybe to some. If Bruce Lee was not a fighter, but in your book, a lot of you all's books, professional fighter. If he was not a fighter, ladies and gentlemen, if you disagree with him being a fighter, then please answer the question, what was he? And answer the question behind this question. Why does the world reverence Bruce Lee the way that they do? Even 50 plus years after he's been gone, he's still looked at as a martial arts great. Why that? And you know what? He is the only person that was in the martial arts community that gets that type of attention 50 years after he's been gone. So if he was not who he trained to be, what he trained to be, then you answer the question, since you're the one who's saying he was not. What was he then? Interested in hearing your response, but please do it with taste and tact. Don't get on my channel acting crazy and getting beside yourself. Be courteous and be respectful, or you won't be here. It's that simple. If he was not a fighter, answer the question, what was he then? And also answer the second question, why is he reverenced the way he is to this day? Inquiry minds would like to know. That's it, and that's all.